Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome into another edition of Slo Ur Roll. We've taken on, 1-2 weeks off here. Just a little bit of time in between. The draft was over. Baseball still in its early stages. Just a little time, scheduling conflicts, no big deal. But we are back, and the Sox continue to struggle. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the American League West. We'll talk about Brock Purdy's contract. Finally, the Niners get that thing done. Gotta say, ended up not being as big as I thought. Thought they were going to have to pay him more. Kind of feels like maybe we're getting to a point where we're starting to push back on the quarterbacks a little bit. But we'll talk about it. We'll talk. And Celtics, pretty awful. And we'll talk the NHL playoffs as well. But with that, I will turn it over to the writer for the Yaki Wave Report, Jesse Caulfield, to get us started. He's got some thoughts to the media about Mr. Bill Belichick.
Thank you. It's no secret about Bill and his relationship with the media. Been documented, I guess you could say, for a long time with his years with the Patriots. And now that he's out with the Patriots, he and the media have this new kind of strange relationship going on, where he is technically one of them, and they can't stand that fact. But he did an interview. It's been a couple weeks since the interview, and I did want to talk about it, but I'm a little glad we didn't immediately talk about it because it's gotten so much stranger since. But it was the CBS interview he did for the CBS morning show, whatever the hell it is. And he did it he said he was doing it to promote his new book called The Art of Winning, Lessons from My Life in Football, all about Bill and using what he knows on the gridiron to translate to life lessons, I guess. I didn't read the book. No. I read the back flap. But during the interview, he got asked a lot of personal questions about his current girlfriend, Jordan. And they didn't really like that. There was all this stuff about asking about how'd you meet? And then there was the clip of Jordan being like, we're not going to talk about that and all that stuff. Bill then released a statement 2 days later, 2 days later, through North Carolina, his current job in college, basically saying that he agreed to do the interview just to talk about the book, talk about football. That's all he thought the interview was going to be about. And when it became about other things, his personal life, which we know Bill just doesn't like to talk about, that's when it became kind of strange. And then it became all about Jordan and all this other stuff. And again, we're not going to talk about that. And people started questioning, did they meet on a plane? Because that's allegedly where they met. Frankly, I don't care. But it took on this whole other thing. Bill wanted to promote his book, and it became about his relationship. CBS went on to say that Jordan allegedly stormed off the set and expected Bill to follow before returning, because Bill didn't follow. Which is funny because CBS had a camera specifically for Jordan for that interview, watching her on all behind the scenes, but they somehow didn't have a clip of her storming off and coming back. That we all just have to trust their word on. Very convenient. Also, they are now allegedly engaged. Maybe not. But again, the only evidence we have of this such is the media said so.
Yeah. Neither
of them have said anything about it. They haven't been dating for that long. Maybe some people have speculated in the media that maybe one of them thinks they're engaged and the other one doesn't. Maybe Jordan tells her friends that, we're going to get married and all this stuff, and that somehow took on a whole other thing. People can get excited in relationships. It's like, I think this is the one, and they tell their friends that, and maybe someone spoke to the media, I guess. I actually don't believe any of it, to be honest. Could I believe the one side of one person being a little crazy? I guess. I could believe that. There is a massive age difference. I wonder what's going on in her head with the 49-year age difference. But whatever they're into, whatever she's into, I'm not going to judge that.
They're all consenting adults.
Sure, whatever. Blah, 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 blah. It is strange to me. I don't get it. But I don't care. It's Bill's life. It's her life. It was kind of funny at first. Bill's got a young girlfriend. That's so not like Bill. That's so weird from everything I've learned about Bill for the past 20 years. That's kind of funny, but that's his personal life. I don't care. Don't tell me. They insist on telling me all these things that Bill's up to and he's doing. Look at these Instagram posts. Bro, I don't care. I guarantee Bill doesn't even know about those Instagram posts. Like, she's probably running all that for him.
Well, she is.
Yeah.
I can.
Well, actually, they've said that.
I made calls to my friends in the South to see what the heck's going on in this situation. This is also why I knew when that story dropped that she had been banned from UNC stuff. I immediately told everyone. Remember, Brian put it in our chat. I went, "That's fake."
Yeah.
Because I called them. They went, "That's not true."
Yeah. Well, then North Carolina immediately, hours after the fact, that the media totally printed that and was like, "No, that's not true at all. She's welcome at any and every event." Now, again, oops.
You're good.
About this whole media stuff. Again, all this stuff is coming out. Like, look at all this alleged. Jordan allegedly stormed off the set. Conveniently didn't get to see that. All that stuff. There's a funny thing the press does. I'm going to tell you about it. I sat in class and learned about it. Anytime you hear sources say, and that's all they're going to give you as to why you should trust them, well, it's probably nothing. They probably just made it up on the spot, because they can do that. If you put sources say that, or sources close to XYZ, internal sources, they can just make up anything.
Well, there's no legal ramification. They're not naming names.
Exactly. And then you can all go to the press and say, like, who's your sources? Tell me your sources. And they'll never give it up. And they shouldn't give it up, because, like, how are you ever going to get any information from anyone ever again?
Exactly.
If you give up sources. So it's really, it's kind of a catch-22. What can you do? You know, we either blindly believe them or we call them out, and we'll never get the truth, because, again, they can never give up their sources. But again, you need to give me something here. Like, what reason do I have to believe they're engaged? I don't have a reason. What reason do I have to believe Jordan stormed off the set? You showed me Jordan on the set. You had a specific camera set up for her behind the scenes. But conveniently, all these other things that you talk about, you won't show us that. And it's not like you're caring about the ethics of it. You put them both on blast. But suddenly you care about not showing your storm off set? I don't believe that. Yeah. That's a strange ethic, or that's a strange moral code you have there. Yeah. It doesn't seem to make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. So when it comes to this story, I've been pretty consistent on the fact that I just don't care.
I don't care
what things come out, because, like, I know a large part of it is going to be speculation, or made up, or from people who aren't that close to the situation, who are doing it for attention in the story. It's a certain thing that's taken on a life of its own. I'm sure in North Carolina there are people at that institution who are not completely comfortable with what is going on. But at the end of the day, if they win football games, they're not going to care.
Sure.
And guess what? Well before the season has started, UNC has sold out all of their season tickets.
Good for them.
So, I mean,
well, this
has clearly not been a negative for the college or the football program.
Well, that's the thing. That's what I think. Why is the press doing this? Well, if you look at our local media, they sold their soul to run Bill out of town. Printed a whole bunch of false things that later came out to be like, well, yeah, that was based on nothing. This one was a lie. Oh, that one just wasn't true at all. It was Karen?
Yes.
Tom Karen?
Yeah.
You know, the whole report of, like, oh, after the Germany game, it was set in stone that he was fired. Yeah. Yet it took them like a whole week of discussing before he got fired. And then when that happened, Tom Karen was like, see, I was correct. It's like, no, that's not what you said, bro. You said it was already set in stone, and it clearly was not. They clearly were discussing it further way after the fact. Yeah. So what is this about? I think the media is trying to get him fired again.
I think so, too.
One of the first things that they all bring up after this interview was like, oh, should North Carolina put up with this? Should they start looking for other coaches elsewhere? It's like, why? Because you won't shut up about his love life? If you guys just don't say anything, there's no problem.
Yeah.
If you just did an interview about the art of winning,
if you made it about the book,
no one would have cared.
Yeah.
But that's not what CBS wanted to make it about.
And I'm not saying there's not weird aspects to this, because it is super weird. Now, if he wasn't dating Jordan, this wouldn't be weird at all, because, by the way, most coaches and most football programs, and specifically professional ones, all have a PR assistant who runs usually most questions things. When the head coach is doing questions, you'll usually hear from the back at some set, if you actually sit down and watch the whole thing. All right, guys, 2 more questions. All right, guys, 3 more questions. That's the PR person, okay? We all know that Bill, this is why the college thing was always kind of weird, but I thought it could work, obviously, because now it's more like the pros. You have the NIL and all that. But there are certain things in college that I'm just like, I know Bill's not going to have, he's not going to do it. He's not going to have some PR SI director chasing him around the practice field telling him he has to talk to this person or that person.
That's Jordan.
He's not going to run a social media.
That's Jordan.
This is what Jordan is providing for them.
Yeah.
Jordan is running the PR side of this, the media, the Instagram, all the social media stuff.
Snap face.
It wouldn't be that weird if they weren't dating. It's weird because they are dating. But she is providing an actual job.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she was doing her job in that interview. It's just weird because we know they're dating. And there's like a 50-year age gap. Which, again, I think it's weird. I get a little uncomfortable with it. But at the end of the day, I hired you to coach football. And if you win football games, I don't care. Because you're consenting adults. And that's what it really should be about. But listen, the media, we all know, has an axe to grind with Bill. Because he has treated them like crap for well over a decade. So, are they all trying to immediately get him fired? Are they all I don't know. Some are, some aren't. But there are certainly people that I know that they will print whatever
some are
the
just
story
cashing
is because they don't care.
Some are just cashing in
They
on a
don't care
story.
about the person. Yes.
I mean, but there are some, like when I think of like who's got an actual axe to grind and might actually want to see Bill suffer in some form, I think of like 98.5.
Yeah.
Like they were the ones who immediately well, should North Carolina consider firing him?
Yes.
It's like no one was talking about that dude. And then they were trying to make it weird that Bill released a statement through the school as if Bill has some sort of social media accounts. I mean, he does now. Yeah. But Bill does not perceive as if I post this statement on Instagram, everyone's going to read it and he probably thinks nobody cares in that form because that's not how anything has ever worked in Bill's life.
No.
Everything has gone through the program, through the team, through the front offices. So that's how he did it.
Yeah.
And it was fine.
Yeah, it was fine.
Here's the thing. It was a long statement, several paragraphs going over again. The interview was supposed to be this. Jordan does this. This is how things are operating here. And all of it seems plausible, and I bought it. I bought it all.
I also think it's funny that any NFL people or NFL media who wants to talk negative about this situation is beyond hypocritical. Because let's be honest, all the owners are up there with some 25-year-old woman all the time. We see it all the time. Now, they don't usually let them talk, and they're not usually doing a job for them like a PR thing. But anyone in NFL ownership, anyone in an NFL front office, or anyone who seriously covers an NFL team probably just needs to can it on this one. Because, come on, guys. Jerry Jones is up there with a 25-year-old all the time. Robert Kraft has been up there before. They've been up there before and they're still married. Come on, guys.
Didn't Jerry Jones...
We can't play the morality game here.
Jerry Jones got in trouble, was it 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Because he allegedly paid off a much younger woman to keep her mouth shut about what Bill's doing publicly.
Yes, exactly. So,
but also, let's look at it like this. He's coaching college now. Do you not think they all walk into that locker room, every single player, and be like, yeah, Bill's a dog. I love playing for this guy.
I know.
They love that shit.
Yeah, at least they think it's funny.
Yeah.
And no one's going to care. Nobody is going to care. They truly are not.
Yeah. And
the only people who might care is the higher-ups at UNC.
I'm sure they probably talk to Bill. Bill, this is getting a little...
happy about it.
Yeah, I'm sure they talk to Bill and be like, Bill, this is getting a little out of hand here.
Yes.
Can we quiet her down?
Yeah.
And Bill's like, I didn't even know there was a problem.
Yes. So there are aspects to this, and I'm sure there are certain people at UNC that are uncomfortable with. But in general, this story is being completely overdone. A lot of what you're seeing come out is not true.
Yeah.
Particularly like the one that she'd been banned from UNC stuff. That is absolutely 100% false. That was never even ever brought up. There was never a conversation. The school in no way has reprimanded Jordan Hudson about anything.
Do you think they could make a call anywhere? They get these news from their desks.
Bro, I made a call. I made a call. I don't work for ESPN, bro. It's not that hard.
Actually, I assume they purposely don't make calls because they don't want to get it proven false. They want the narrative out there. I mean, the media does that all the time. Print the false narrative, knowing everyone's going to read that, knowing that when the retraction gets printed, no one's going to see it. ESPN does that Every retraction they print is at 2 a.m.
Yeah, I know. So, I agree. There's a lot of this is axe to grind stuff. Not saying there's a lot of aspects that are weird to it, but a lot of this is axe to grind stuff. But with that, should we turn it over to the Red Sox?
Sure.
So what do we sit at now? Are we 500 yet? Because we're playing the Orioles.
26 and 26.
So we are the epitome of mid again, like we were last year. Early in the season, I still have some faith in this team, but it's starting to fade to me a little bit, and I definitely don't think we're winning the division at this point. I have more things to say in a minute, but I'll let you at least react to some of this stuff. The offense has taken a turn, it seems like the last couple of days at least. Now, we are playing Baltimore, so that helps. The pitching is the thing that's like, these guys are just dying left and right. You know, Giolito is kind of inconsistent. Bueller at least has looked decent since he came back. That's a big thing, but we're waiting on Cutter. I don't know. What is the timeline on Crawford? Do we even know?
No, he started pitching again.
Okay.
And yeah, he's either started pitching or is about to start pitching.
And also, let's be honest, the Bregman injury hurts a lot.
Yeah. Well, yes, because he's your guy right now.
I mean, he's like MVP of the American League other than Judge.
I'm still not that worried.
Okay.
Because, I mean, Baltimore's bad. They can't pitch, and I don't see that getting fixed really in any meaningful way this year. Toronto's not good. Tampa's kind of what we are. They're pretty mid. And the Yankees are very overrated, actually. They just lost to the Rockies. But I also still I feel like this offense is hugely underperforming. Tristan Campbell, his first month was really good, 300 hitter. He's not hitting recently. He's got to, they adjusted him. He's got to adjust again. Marcelo Meyer, I mean, he is torn up AAA. He's clearly, there's nothing left for him to learn there. So I'm hoping he'll at least, in his time with Bregman injured, he'll show that okay, there's no point in throwing him back down. And maybe they'll actually put Campbell back down instead. Maybe get some confidence, fix something in his swing, something like that. Trevor Story is a dead man walking, the worst hitter in baseball right now.
Rafaela doesn't look far behind him right now either. Sadani is not hitting.
No, but he's a lot younger.
No, I know.
And he's a little bit of JBJ right now, where it's okay, at least you're so good
defensively
manning the field that we'll tolerate you striking out 3 times a game.
Yes.
And it's okay, you can still if some of these guys actually hit up to what they should, if Tristan Campbell can actually start producing again, if Bregman doesn't even have to maintain that. If he can come back and just be good, Devers has turned it around. He's been prime Devers, I guess you could say.
I think he's been the best hitter in the month of May.
Yeah, Narvaez has been really good.
Narvaez has been consistent all year.
Wilyer Abreu, he came back down to earth, but he's still putting up. RBI situations, he's actually been come through more often than not. I still believe there's a lineup here that can work. The fielding stuff, because at least Trevor Story again, he can kind of field. But Trevor Story's such a liability. I want him out of here.
Yeah, I would.
You could have had Xander Bogaerts here for the exact same price tag.
Yeah.
Okay, he's a little worse in the field, but he hits the ball.
I know.
He's not the worst hitter in the league.
I'll
now.
be honest. There's one move I want them to go make right now, and I want Ezekiel Tovar from the Rockies. Right-handed bat, middle infielder, not that expensive yet. Colorado's going to sell anything that's not nailed down.
But would you not rather try to find a first baseman out there?
I don't think there's a ton of them out there.
You have 2 young middle infielders. That is your future in Campbell and Meyer. That's your shortstop. That's your second baseman. You have Bregman at third.
Potentially.
Where else are they going to play?
I mean,
Williers right.
First
Duran
off,
is left.
Wait. First off,
Sedon is center.
First off, if Bregman comes back and continues to hit like this, he's going to opt out of the rest of his contract.
He might.
He definitely will. Which, if he did, I would tell him, thank you, bye-bye, and we'll put Marcelo at third and let it play out. If they had Whitney.
Well, then you have a liability still at short.
With who?
Story.
Oh, they probably have Tovar play short, and I don't know what you want to do with Story. Listen, if Story continues to play this bad, you're just putting him on the bench.
You'll probably just buy him out.
I mean, that too. But
So you free up a roster spot at least.
Yeah. Like
for like a Roman Anthony or something.
I don't care about getting Story in the lineup at all. So the only thing I'm questioning is Bregman next year. But like I said, if Bregman comes back this year and continues to play, not even at this level, but close to this level, he's going to opt out of his contract.
If Trevor Story can agree to play first base and do it well, he can bat number 9.
Fine. But yeah, I would like to go get Tovar. They'll have to get some pitching.
Would they trade him?
I wouldn't want them to go big game hunting on the pitching because we've just invested so much. We have so many guys that, we just got to get these guys back healthy. We'll have quantity, and someone will get hot.
Would they really trade someone as young?
5-start thing. What?
Would the Rockies really trade someone that young?
Yes. He's not that young anymore. I mean, he's young, but they're going to have to
pay him. Is he even 28?
No, but he's been at the big league level for a while, so he's going to have an arbitration coming up.
They should have money.
Yeah, but they don't spend it. That's like the worst franchise in baseball right now.
No, it definitely is.
they don't.
You could argue in sports.
You could,
and I'd be like,
make that argument.
You have a case, but like you hope like they learn something from this. Like they are on pace to be Chicago worst win percentage ever last year. Yeah. They are on pace to set every record. Most losses ever, worst win percentage ever. Like, you have to do something after that, right?
Yeah.
You have to act in some form after that. Now, maybe the players are like, I'm not staying here, I guess. But hopefully you'll figure that out sooner rather than later.
So Tovar is going to turn 24 this year.
Oh, you don't trade that guy.
I think they trade anything. No. I don't think they give a single what. Okay. Anything that they can do to get cheaper, I feel like they will do.
I thought he was like over 25.
No.
He's not even that.
Listen, maybe it's not going to happen. I'm just saying, if the name comes out there on the market, because he's the only asset that they literally could trade at this point and get anything for, there's literally no one else on that team that can trade at the deadline and get anything.
McMahon.
Hasn't he had an awful year?
Yes, he has.
I don't think you're going to get much for McMahon unless he turns it around.
I mean, he could probably. He's not old.
No.
So I'm sure he'll have.
Either. I think he's 29.
Oh, I thought he was like 30, 31.
Oh, okay.
Which is like, that's still. Like 28 to 32 is prime.
He's been a pretty up and down player his whole career. So unless he turns it on this year, I don't. Well, no, at this point right now, I don't think you can trade him for anything.
You can trade him for something.
Not much.
It won't be what he got. Maybe from last year, what he actually produced. But like.
So what do you want them to do?
I want them
when it comes time to.
I want them to
add.
I want them to lock in and persevere.
I get you, but what would you go shopping for?
Pitchers.
Okay, you would.
Well, maybe.
My only issue with that is pitching is just so expensive, and we have so many guys that we're paying some money to. But it's like, listen, you just got to be better.
That's what I'm saying.
We're just gonna throw the quantity out here, and someone's gonna get hot for a 4 or 5 start stretch.
Well, because
whoever's struggling is gonna get thrown into the bullpen.
Well, that's the thing. I think that would help Houck. I think Houck really could use some bullpen time. Walker Buehler and Giolito.
Did Giolito pitch good yesterday?
He pitched really good yesterday. He was 7 shutout innings. And Walker Buehler's pitching today. I don't know how he did.
They're down 3-0, so.
Okay. And it's like, okay, they either seem to have actually really good starts or blow the F up.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay. Because here's the thing, at least with Giolito, like I expect him to actually get better
as the season
goes on. He hasn't pitched in like 2 years. Mm-hmm. So I assume the blow-ups will happen less often.
Yeah.
Or they'll just, a blow-up will be a 4-run. You give up 4 runs, that's still a winnable game. Mm-hmm. Buehler, I don't know, here or there, we'll see. I hope he'll at least, he pitched great in the playoffs actually last year for them.
Yeah, he did.
So he still got something in there, right? Mm-hmm. Bello, he's a guy that gets better as the year goes on from what I've seen. He can't pitch day games, so like maybe just skip his start in the day games. Hunter Dobbins, though. I really liked Hunter Dobbins.
I like
that's an option.
So far.
Is the other young kid, he pitched in the bullpen yesterday. He's like, his record is like 0-4, but his ERA is like 260 something or like 360 something.
Not Fitz, is it?
No, not Dick Fitz.
Okay.
No. It's hold on.
But I mean,
What are the other guys?
To me, from everything you're saying, I feel like you're just validating what I said. I don't really want to go out and get a starter. I'd rather just roll with what we have, and I expect that some of these guys are going to be better. And then you got Garrett at the top. Listen, we got Crochet. He's pitching like this. I definitely don't want to go big game hunting when it comes to a pitcher. I think really, ideally, what I want is get a right-handed bat, a pretty good one, and then let's fix some of the bullpen.
Yeah, Patrick Sandoval's somewhere in this.
Yeah.
Oh, Winkowski exists.
Oh gosh, no.
But it's also Garrett Whitlock's been not good this year.
No, he is not. I expect him to be better.
I don't know. Did we break him like we broke Daniel Bard?
Yeah, that's true.
Like we need to stop trying to turn these guys. They weren't starters coming into the big leagues for a reason.
I hate
Stop
that.
trying to convert them back.
I do hate that.
Everyone in the bullpen is because they're a failed starter. Stop trying at the major league level, turn them into that. What the hell are we doing? I don't know where this guy went. It's not Criswell.
It's not Bernardino you're talking about.
No.
Okay.
No. That guy pitches every day for some reason, though.
Because he's left-handed. That's why.
Don't
worry about it. Don't worry about it.
I guess it's not that deep. One of these guys.
Do you think they can still take the division?
All right, that dream is fading, but like I see no especially with how weak the American League is.
Oh gosh, the American League is so bad.
You need to make the wild card. You need to make a wild card here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, they've actually spent money in this offseason. They've invested in things. Like, it would be pretty disastrous, in my opinion, if they didn't make the playoffs.
But I mean, no matter what, like, you need to be better than this 500 team.
Oh, for sure.
This is ridiculous. You had some bad luck with the injuries with the pitching. It's been a hella cold start to the year, and that's also bad for the pitching. But like, I feel like almost every single player, other than Bregman and Devers at this point, have underperformed. Maybe Crochet's been good. He's been really good. I guess I can't say he underperformed. I feel like there's one. Duran is now turning it on. Although he cannot. Anytime there's a big situation, he will strike out. I swear to God.
Or pop up on the infield.
Like, that dude will not get a hit in a big situation. He can start the rally, but he'll never get the big hit in the rally. And it's so effing frustrating.
Well, that's why they bat him leadoff, though.
But why is it always 7, 8, 9 starts the rally, and then, here's Duran with one out. You're going to make or break the inning. Oh, we got 2 outs. And he didn't even move anybody.
Yeah, he's had a couple of those this week.
I mean, I've said this about the whole team. No one can make a productive out. But, they strike out in every big situation. Like Trevor Story last night.
Well, he just strikes out in general, though.
Second and third. Hit it anywhere.
Yes.
Anywhere at all.
Choke up in the bat and
take
some length out of your
Bunt it.
Do something.
Like, you can't hit it swinging. So bunt it. That's all you needed was to put it in play. Yeah. Anywhere at all. I mean, not really. Like, you pop up the infield, back to the pitcher. That's not. But you know what? I'll take that over striking out.
It is
because there's something that
frustrating.
Something could happen on a pop up in the infield.
It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
There's nothing more frustrating than second and third, less than 2 outs, and a guy strikes out.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
And that situation is occurring 3 times a game at least for the Red Sox, and they fail every single time.
In Duran's defense, one of the times he did do that this week, he was facing a very tough lefty. It was a very bad matchup. I forget which one it was. I remember watching it, though, and I remember being like, this is a tough assignment for you, Jared.
You still think at some point someone...
I'm not giving an excuse to everyone. I'm talking about one of the things that happened this week. I remember one of them. I was like, this is a tough assignment.
If you're going to... Sometimes the pitcher wins.
Yes.
And actually, you know what? Often, odds are the pitcher wins. Just statistically speaking, the pitcher's going to win. At some point, you think someone, somewhere...
It's going to get a big hit.
Just not strike out.
Just not strike out with a guy at third in less than 2 outs.
Just not miss.
I know.
And of course, Red Sox bullpen in the exact same situation. They give it up every single time.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Yeah. So,
what do you make of this Alex Cora stuff now? Everyone's calling for his head.
I don't really know what I'm supposed to make of it.
I don't know what he's supposed to do with this.
Yeah, I honestly think a lot of time the manager just becomes the
the
whipping
scapegoat.
boy. Yeah, the scapegoat. Like I don't understand how this is his problem.
He can't get again. They're being shut out again. Like what is he supposed to do about that?
Yeah, I don't really get it. I mean, he's dealing with a team that lost the best hitter of the season. A lot of this team is under 26, 25 years old. They're not going to be consistent, and they have a lot of injuries in the pitching. So he's piecing that one together. The bullpen one is the one I really don't understand why anyone criticizes Cora at. Bro, what is his options?
To be honest, there's some times where I think Cora's managed that bullpen in ways I don't think other people could.
Yeah. Like, other than Chapman, no one's that good.
That Walker Buehler game, where Walker Buehler got
Tossed.
in like the third inning or whatever. Realistically, just reading, like if you look at the bullpen, like that should have been a loss. That game should have been a disaster. No, they went 7 shutout innings.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, you can't expect that consistently from them, but like
Cora managed the situation.
He knew who was good and when, and he was correct that day. And when you have a bunch of guys like,
I mean, if he was making a decision, didn't he get tossed too?
oh, you're right, he did get tossed
That
that
doesn't
game.
mean anything. It's today's day and age. There's no way he's not.
You're right.
There's no way he's not communicating with the bench
He
coach.
deserves no credit for that.
I'm joking.
But no, there's been other days where
No, that's a lie. You don't think he's communicating with the bench
oh,
coach?
I'm sure he is.
Yeah, come on.
But like, all right, for the sake of it, I won't give him too much credit for that. But there's been other games where a similar situation has occurred where he needed the bullpen to pitch at least like 6. I mean, here's the thing. He pulls his starters in the 5th inning all the time. Most of the starters are actually never in position to get wins because they only go 4 2/3, and he pulls them before it can get real bad. I think Cora keeps them in these games, actually.
Yeah. I certainly don't think he is the problem. I think you have particular
He can't
guys,
take these at-bats for
You
them.
have particular guys who are underachieving. You have a lot of guys who are under 26 years old. So why would you ever expect that they would be consistent? Like, does Raffaella and Campbell going through long stretches of struggling surprise you at all? They're like 23.
I mean,
Also, Raffaella was never touted as some great offensive player. It was always like athletic, great defense. We hope he hits enough. Which he showed flashes of it last year, but he's not, you're not going to depend on him. And again, this is Campbell's first run in the big leagues. Like, yeah. Guys, this is not going to be a consistent offense all year long. It's just not. I expect them to be better than they have been, and at times they have turned it on. They do get shut out a lot, and they continue to not hit well situationally. But again, everybody's under like 26. So I'm not blaming Cora for this. The only thing I will stamp my fist down and get mad about is Chaim Bloom. Because I'm sorry, Chris Sale coming to Fenway, pitching like that, just put everything into perspective. And I know we all want to talk about the prospects, but until they start producing at the major league level, you don't get credit for that. You're the guy who traded away Sale for nothing. You got nothing for the Mookie Betts one. Most of your free agent signings were pretty bad.
You praised the Sale trade when it happened.
I liked Grisham at the time, but I wish they would have gotten more.
And also, like, everyone thought Sale was kind of done.
I didn't think Sale was done. I thought you could not trade him for a value that was going to be worth what he could be. Because, like, he had shown flashes his last year here of being that guy again. Really, his numbers were way better than what they showed. It's just he got, like, 2 disastrous starts in the beginning. But the K rate was great again. The stuff looked good.
It was not quite that. There was moments where, like, okay. But then he would always, like, okay, he was like, oh, he had a good start. And then the next start, he'd just get blown up again.
I get you.
It wasn't, like, consistent prime Sale.
But the stuff looked good. The K rate was still good. All the periphery stats were pretty damn good. Like, there were times that he looked like old Sale. And again, at the time, was I lambasting Bloom? Probably not. But at the end of the day, this is his job, and he whiffed on that one too, just like he did on the Mookie trade. And I know he had to trade Mookie.
Do you really think
he had to trade Mookie? I know that.
Do you think Sale would have ever figured it back out again?
He got nothing in return. Yeah, I do.
Here?
Yeah.
Why?
Andrew Bailey's been a good pitching coach when he was there. Why don't you think he would have figured it out here? What makes Atlanta so special? I don't think Atlanta has some elite pitching coach.
I mean, they certainly have a lot more in order than we do on every single front.
Yeah, they're a well-run organization. But,
Yes.
I mean, like I said, Sale had shown flashes of it in his last year here in Boston. So,
But he was constantly frustrated here. He was constantly annoyed here in those last couple of years.
maybe he needed to change the scenery. All I know is that he traded away 2 superstars, okay? The other one won the Cy Young last year. He's still a superstar. Still one of the most electric guys in baseball. And he traded away Mookie, which, again, he had to. But what he's gotten out of that has been absolutely nothing.
But when you know someone needs to get traded, you're not going to get much for him. And at the time, Jeter Downs
just held on to him.
and the other one there. Who's the other one? It was Wong, Jeter Downs, and Verdugo. And Verdugo at the time and Jeter Downs were considered higher end prospects, with Verdugo already showing some flashes at the MLB with the Dodgers.
Yes, I understand that.
And then ironically, Wong was the success story. Who's been crap this year actually, but like I've seen Wong. I mean, he's a good hitting catcher when he's on. He's a great defensive catcher, and he's a catcher that can actually steal you some bases. Like,
yeah,
he could be. Now, I'm on the Narvaez train now. He can do all that even better, except the stealing base part.
But to me, I mean, almost all the moves that Bloom made have been all disasters for the most part. And the only thing that he's done successfully so far is draft. And none of them have shown they can be MLB players yet.
The Schwarber trade was successful.
Okay.
It was a rental, but it was successful.
He got Schwarber?
You don't remember we got Kyle Schwarber? He played first base.
I don't think that was Bloom, bro. I think that was Dombrowski.
That was Bloom. That was we went to the championship series.
Okay.
Against Houston. It was the year of all the Grand Slams.
Schwarber's always been a Dombrowski guy.
Yeah.
I thought that was Dombrowski.
No. Yeah, Dombrowski got fired 2019.
Okay.
And that year was 2022?
Okay. All right, so that one worked out for Bloom.
I mean, yeah, it was a rental, so it's not like that's not a huge thing in the grand scheme of things. And again, you didn't make it to the World Series, you didn't win the World Series, so people kind of.
I thought at times his team was in position to make the playoffs, and Bloom would never pull the trigger. And listen, if he wanted to sell, that would have been fine. But like he would just sit there, like not do anything.
Yeah, I mean,
add and then subtract, and it's like, all right,
yeah.
What direction are we trying to go, Heim?
No, I'm
like pick one.
I'm with all that. But
and
like I don't blame.
I was being hyperbolic. I don't think he's the worst GM of all time.
I just
but
don't.
I certainly think he's been a pretty bad failure here for the most part. And listen,
yeah,
if Meyer, Campbell, and Roman all 3 hit, I will take it back. But you know how prospects go in baseball.
You got something out of Teal also. That was one of his big picks because you dealt him for Crochet. So
you dealt him for Crochet, but you basically dealt him for the guy that Bloom had traded away the year before in Sale. You replaced what you had lost.
Yeah, he's way younger.
I know he's way younger though, so there is that. But he had to give away prospects in order to go get them.
Yes,
I mean, listen.
But here's the thing.
That's the kind of thing that Bloom should have been able to do more of. This is Boston. This is not Pittsburgh.
Well,
this is not Milwaukee. Okay. It's good that you have boosted our minor league system, and I'm not saying trade all of them away. But how about you use some of these to help us at the big league level when we're in the position to make the playoffs?
We do also
and Breslow did that.
We do also know John Henry was like, you can only use so much of my money. And that does not help. Especially on the free agent front.
I'm not saying Henry's the easiest guy to work for either. But I think he's been a pretty abject failure. And again, if all 3 of these kids all hit at a high rate, he can take a victory lap. But I've seen this story a million times in baseball, guys. Like, just because you're the number 1 overall prospect, that does not mean that you will have a successful major league career.
I feel like
a lot of the last couple of years, we've had these teams that we thought were going to they got this young nucleus, got 3-4 kids. This team's going to be good for a while, and it hasn't really panned out.
The Reds.
The White Sox, the Reds, the Mariners. Their pitching has been great, but the offense has been non-existent.
But they've never taken that next step.
No, they have not.
The Tigers. Till this point, that's what it's been.
They made the playoffs last year.
They stumbled in.
That's.
They almost got swept by the Guardians.
They did almost.
If it wasn't for Tarek Skubal, they would have.
It's coming together this year. So.
Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
It is all coming together.
Ooh,
That's your future American League champion Tigers to you, son.
I guess the Nationals are only just entering that.
Oh, the Nationals are way off, bro. No one thinks they're going to be good yet.
We did.
I thought that. Well, listen, I said good. I said they'd win 76 games. That's still under 500.
I didn't think that.
Their Vegas line was 71.5.
They could have made.
No.
And they still can. They were the team. They got better as the year went on.
Well,
last
they
year.
also. I mean, DJ Hurst going down hurt a lot. So, all right. While we're on this baseball train, though, let's shift to what possibly could be the worst division in baseball, which is not usually that we have said that, and that is the AL West. I never understood the Rangers' love. They had the second best odds to win this division.
They have good pitching, and they do.
We
Nathan Eovaldi is a dog.
Eovaldi and DeGrom are dogs.
Yeah.
They have been better than I even expected because I thought DeGrom would be hard to trust coming into the season.
Leader's
the
been good, right?
offense has been awful. Marcus Semien at 35 looks like he is washed. Seager got hurt, which, come on, we all knew there was a chance that Seager could suffer an injury like that. They can't hit. Their bullpen is a mess. And outside of DeGrom and Eovaldi, they're not pitching that well.
Patrick Corbin has found a little
Oh, yeah,
something.
Corbin has found
That was
the fountain of youth.
That one's the funniest to me.
I know, but they can't hit now. And like I said, it's not something where you can just ride this out. Like when Marcus Semien is 35 years old and is this bad, that makes you kind of think he might be done. And then Seager got hurt. So
I mean, we'll see what Jack Leader can do.
yeah,
He's 25.
mm-hmm. The bullpen just gives up games. The A's were interesting for a little while. Now they've lost 11 straight games. I still think they're on the right path, but you can.
Oh, sure.
You can definitely take them out of the equation for being a competitor in this division. So it really is a two-horse race between the Mariners and the Astros. Mm-hmm. And while this is the weakest Houston team I have ever seen, I said it before the year, rumors of their demise have been greatly exaggerated, and I still think they're winning out in the end here because the Mariners' offense has completely dried up in the last 2.5 weeks. It was relying on a Jorge Polanco that was hitting like 360 and Kyle Raleigh just hitting bombs. Like, I think it's going to be the same old story here, but tell me why I'm wrong.
Well, I mean, when you have just an embarrassment of riches on one side, I'd say football. Mm-hmm. Well, our defense is stacked. We got no offense. Well, if you have an embarrassment of riches of one to the point where you have so much you kind of don't know what to do with, and you got nothing on the other side, you trade some of this for to make up for this.
Yeah, but Seattle will never do it.
Don't expect to get anywhere.
They're not,
but like
they don't run that well. They never want to give up anything. They never want to spend money. They never want to.
But it's clear that you can get prosperity like this.
Uh-huh.
You have so many of these guys here. Mm-hmm. Like you were shopping Luis Castillo in the off season, and he still got something to give. He's still got value.
Oh yeah.
Why would you not call, say, I don't know, maybe the Red Sox?
Yeah.
Say, hey, you're not hitting either, but like you got guys in the minors that you're trying to find space for. You might not find space for. Like, let's find something here.
Yeah.
Maybe take Trevor Story.
They're not going to want Story.
Why not? He'll fit right in. He doesn't hit either.
I feel like
it's not like he'll drag that lineup down anymore.
I feel like the Cubs, if anything, would be the one that would get the call. They're hitting everything. But they could definitely use a more bona fide top of the rotation guy.
No. I don't want that.
Why?
I want Luis Castillo.
I know you do. You love him.
I do like him a lot. But like that is, it doesn't have to be the Red Sox, but that is the Mariners' option to prosperity here, to really put some distance and really kind of guarantee yourself. Because I mean the Angels aren't. You shouldn't care about the Angels. You don't have to care about the A's, and then that other fifth team. That's the Texas.
Yeah, that we just talked about.
Yeah,
in depth.
That one.
Which I really don't think that they have any chance. I mean, this lineup, the lineup they put out today against the White Sox, which I believe they're about to lose either 2 of 3 to the White Sox right now or get swept because they're down 3-2.
I think it's swept.
And the 7th.
I think it'll be swept.
Haggerty, Smith, Langford is hitting 3rd. Jung, who I will say, after all the injuries and stuff, has turned it on the last 2.5 weeks. But then you got Jake Berger hitting 5th.
I mean, he's okay.
Some guy named Ozuna, who I didn't even know was on the team.
Some guy.
Adolis Garcia has had a horrific year. And Marcus Semien, who's now all the way at 9th, and he's hitting 175. Like I don't think they turn this around. But you want to stick with the Mariners.
Yeah.
Based on the idea that they will finally do what we have said for years they need to do and never do it. That's what you want to do. What makes you think they're going to do it this year? Because I got on this hype train for a small amount of time last year. I was like, this is the year they're finally going to do it. They didn't do it. Didn't go out and make a big move. Didn't bring in a big bat. Didn't trade one of the
It doesn't have to be groundbreaking.
They need to do multiple things to score some actual freaking runs.
They have two men here to somewhat build a lineup around.
Who?
You have a leadoff guy.
Cal, Raleigh,
You have three guys to build a lineup around.
What three guys? Rodriguez, Raleigh, and who's the third?
Rosarena, who's not consistent.
No.
But he has potential.
Yeah.
And he's usually hits with the rest of his team, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
He's the guy who feels like, all right, we're doing good. I'm emotionally invested.
Okay.
If he feels like one of those guys to me.
Okay.
And if he's not emotionally invested, he's not hitting.
All right.
Build a lineup to get him invested.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you don't need to make a groundbreaking move here,
mm-hmm.
especially because your division is that weak.
I know.
You're not that far from just running away with this.
I mean, clearly, you got to think the AL Central is actually significantly better than the West right now, which is almost never a thing.
It's competitive.
What? The Central?
Yes. I have a hard press saying it's so much better than anything because it's the American League.
Mm.
So the Tigers are the best team in baseball. It's like, okay, they're picking on a bunch of losers.
No. I'm saying it's better than the West, though. Like significantly better than the West, in my opinion, right now.
It's a lot more competitive.
The Royals are better than the A's. The Royals, I think, are better than the Rangers.
Okay.
And aren't they in fourth right now?
Yeah.
They are.
Sure.
Right now, I think it's Guardians, Twins, which the Twins, I still think are going to be in fourth by the end of the season. I think they got really hot and beat up on some bad teams. Now, granted, Pablo and Joe Ryan at the top of rotation like that gives them a good chance to win, when those guys go out there. But I don't think they're that good. But
no.
I could be wrong.
I don't like their old man lineup.
I don't like their old man lineup either. All right, you want to go with Seattle based on the fact that you think they will finally go and make the move that they
Well, they can do nothing, and they'll still probably do it.
I don't think they can do nothing, and they'll probably do it.
I mean,
the Astros are coming on now. This is without even Jordan. Paredes is hitting now.
Are they coming on?
Jake Myers is
with their 5-5 record in the last 10 games, which, by the way, Seattle's 6-4 in the last 10 games.
I know.
Yeah, they're really heating up.
Hey, listen, they were like 6 games back though a couple of weeks ago. Now what are they? 2.5 back?
Ooh, how about this?
Now it'd help if they win today because then they'd take 3 or 4 from Seattle, and they are down right now. But
how about the fact that Seattle is above 500 both home and away, and Houston is 17-10 at home, 10-15 away.
It's not good. I know. Seattle also started the year really, really good, so they've really come crashing back down.
Seattle?
They started the year pretty good.
They started the year really bad.
All right, maybe it was a week and a half in. They got real hot for a stretch.
They did,
and they were up by a good amount of games in that division. But I don't know. I've seen this show before, bro. And despite what you just read me about their records, their run differential is almost the exact same.
Yes, 21 plus 21 plus 22.
And I feel like Seattle already hit their heights, whereas Houston hasn't.
I really don't care that much about run differential. That's a hugely overplayed stat. Okay.
It can be, but sometimes it can tell a story.
It's
not everything.
It can.
It's not everything.
If you're winning a bunch of games 1-0,
mm-hmm.
That's great. That's really good for you. Red Sox can't do that at all.
I know.
But if you're a 500 team, but you win by 10 runs,
mm-hmm.
okay, your run differential is going to be really good.
Well, it has to, for run differential to matter, you need a large sample size. I don't care about run differential for the first month, but we're at the end of May now. It does mean something.
Yeah. Seattle was not good to start, man.
Okay.
I'm telling you.
All right, whatever. Maybe I have it wrong. Maybe I get it mixed up because Texas was really good. But anyway, you're rolling with the Mariners still. I think Houston's still going to.
It was
I've seen this show before. That's all I'm saying.
It was 2-week bad start.
I've seen this show before. That's all I'm saying. All right. With that, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll get into some football talk with the Brock Purdy contract, NHL playoffs, and the Celtics, and our Darwin as always. So stick with us, guys. And we are back here at Slow Your Roll, moving on to what was certainly the biggest, I think, news over the weekend, which is Brock Purdy gets his deal with the 49ers. I don't remember the exact numbers. I'll look it up. But I do remember, we've been on a streak here that whoever the quarterback is who's about to get a contract, it always becomes the biggest one. Mm-hmm. And for once, that finally was broken. I feel like the Trevor Lawrence one was kind of the thing that did it because it's been such a disaster, and he was so overpaid that we've talked. I feel like it's been a constant theme on this show. They're like, listen, the bubble has to burst eventually. Every quarterback who's on the new one can't every time just be the most expensive one, the biggest one. And I feel like it kind of finally happened with the Lawrence one because it's been such an abject disaster for Jacksonville. He 5 years, $265 million extension. I forget how much of it is guaranteed, though.
Purdy's?
Yeah, Brock Purdy's, yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Because I have the top 10 list here.
Okay.
Of highest average.
All right, what is it?
Well, he is 7th.
Okay.
He's averaging $53 million in between Tua and Jared Goff. We're 6 and 8. And number one is Dak Prescott at $60 million.
Which, we're going to have a conversation about that.
It's funny because it's Dak Prescott, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow,
okay.
and then Trevor. Jordan, Tua, Brock, Jared, Justin, Lamar.
Okay. So but for Brock having just signed this offseason, he's still all the way down at 7th.
All the way down.
That's significant from what the trend has been.
He's only $7 million less average than the top guy, and then, so Dak is $60 million average. Josh is second at $55 million average, and then 10 is $52 million average.
Yeah.
So the difference between 2 and 10 is, millions of dollars, but minuscule.
Yes, I get
at the same time.
Listen, I'm not saying he's not overpaid.
Well, this is what it is. And he's productive, so you have to.
But I will say, if there was ever a time that the Niners could overpay for a quarterback, it might be now. Because I think we all agree that if they're going to get back to where they need to be, a lot of it's going to have to done through the draft anyway, which means it'll be cheaply done. There's no one who's on this team that is now due to get a contract potentially. I don't really think anyone is.
They just signed Fred Warner to an extension.
They did.
So he was due and he got it.
Yeah. But I don't think there's some young player that's about to get an extension. You've got Debo out to free up money.
No, they can't draft,
I would
so there's no young
suspect that they would try to get rid of Ayuk if he could have a productive year this year. CMC is already in the midst of his contract. So, obviously, if you want to compete this year and the next 2 years, you would have loved to have a cheap quarterback option. But even with Brock being that cheap, they were up against it anyway. So, again, if they're going to get back to where they were, it's going to have to get done through the draft. And that means a lot of the guys will be cheap. Because most of these guys are about to age out. Some of them, their contracts are going to be over soon, like a Trent Williams. I know Warner just got his extension, though. But they moved off a bunch of guys in the offseason already. They'll try to get rid of Ayuk. Kittle's still in the midst of his contract. He's not going to get another one.
Did Debo move?
Yeah, he's on Washington.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
They can't draft, though.
I know.
Their last couple drafts have been, you read the whole list, and it's I don't even know if any of these guys have hit the field.
Yeah. I think that is organizationally. I think the Niners organizationally have a problem. They seem to be almost like the opposite of the Rams, where the Rams will just trade picks, get people, and then move off them again. They'll be a little more stingy with their money. The Niners feel like they kind of fall in love with their own players a little bit too much. I also feel that Kyle has too much power when it comes to drafting, which can be a problem because head coaches go to the draft and all they think about when they go to the draft is my depth chart. What do I feel like I need to fill? Whereas a GM can have a more totalitarian view, a total view, where it's all right, what is the value pick here? I know Kyle's like, I need this, but like, if I don't think anyone's here in the first round that's anywhere close to worth it, I might as well get somebody else who maybe could become a star somewhere else, and then we can move off that guy and save up money. I think Kyle has too much power when it comes to drafting. They draft like a head coach looking at the depth chart and be like, well, I need this, I need this, I need this. That's how they draft. I think that's why it's been so bad the last 2 years. They have a weird philosophy about the offensive line that I do not understand, that they don't feel it's that important and that they can coach and scheme around it, and they will take a skill guy there if they think there's a skill guy who's worth it over an offensive lineman. I think that's a laughable idea. I think most of the teams and coaches who have won would laugh that out the building. Like, Bill didn't think that way. Andy Reid doesn't think that way. Sean Payton doesn't think that way. Like, offensive line matters a lot. So I've never understood that philosophy. Their schedule was awful. They have like the easiest schedule, I think, of the last, what is it that came out the last like 5 years? It got rated the easiest schedule. So they might rack up a bunch of wins this year simply just because they're playing a bunch of garbage. They're at a weird crossroads. And I don't blame Brock. I don't even blame them for paying Brock because they're not going to be in any state to draft another quarterback. I think Brock has played pretty well. I put some of the problems they had last year on Kyle, where it's like, Kyle, I know you want to do this, you want to do that, you want to do everything off the run. You don't have CMC anymore. You have a bunch of other injuries. You need to be able to scheme up a passing game that can work on its own outside of the run. So Kyle, in my opinion, needs to be better. And I think this is a Niners problem more than a Brock Purdy problem. So I don't have a big issue with them giving him this contract. I know there's a lot to unwrap there, but
I mean, I guess I can't say I have a problem with the contract because like this is where we live now. Mm-hmm. Like Tua is getting $50 million, and I know Brock Purdy is better than Tua. Yeah. So like, you kind of have to. Like
yeah, listen. If he is now the highest paid quarterback, then I would have been like, all right, San Francisco, you're out of your mind. But it's not.
But it's also like if you're gonna have if you're gonna have a quarterback that you feel is a guy in some form, you're gonna pay big money for him nowadays. That's how it is. And I assume it's the line stuff. Because the lines can get pretty expensive. Mm-hmm. You get some high end guys, they can get pretty expensive. Mm-hmm. And you
should be drafting it.
Well, it's also like I assume the philosophy is, we'll save money here, and if we scheme it up enough, we don't need that because we have a guy like CMC. And the philosophy of watching Tom Brady, he would never hold that ball for more than maybe the Randy Moss era he would because he's just waiting for Moss to get open. But generally, Tom actually had lines all his life. But even still, like the philosophy is like get the ball out as quickly as possible, and they can't even get to me anyway. Mm-hmm. There was a game. It was the last Super Bowl run. Wild card week, I think, against the Chargers. Mm-hmm. Joey Bosa was mic'd up. Mm-hmm. Is it Joey Bosa on the Chargers? Or is it? Yeah, it was Joey. He's on the sidelines being like, yo, Tom's getting it out too fast. I can't even get to him. He's like, I'm beating my guy every single play, but I can't get to Tom in time. It doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. And then one time again, Tom gets it out last second, and he's like, yo, stop throwing it so fast. And Tom's like, yo, don't get here so fast. I won't have to throw it so fast. Mm-hmm. So I assume the philosophy is get the ball out as quickly as possible.
But they don't run their passing game like
that. Can't, we have CMC as the out. Just dump it off to him. He'll make a play happen. Then why do we have to spend a dime on the line? Who cares? I assume that's what the philosophy is.
Okay. Well, again, they think they can scheme it up and scheme around it. So it's part of the philosophy.
Well, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it's not working.
I don't think Brock Purdy was ever good enough for something like that anyway. Very few ever quarterbacks could be. Oh, yeah. You would need a Tom Brady who at least walks up to the line, sees the whole field, knows every blitz that could possibly come, and be like, okay, I need to get it out in less than 3 seconds, no matter what. Or I'll just throw it away. If I hit the 2.5 seconds and I don't have a place to go, I'm just throwing it away. Mm-hmm. That type of stuff. Brock's young. You doesn't have that. Also, no one's coached well anymore, so no one can do that anymore. Yeah. You expect that from Mahomes, Prime Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, very elite people. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, if you got a coach and he thinks this kid is smart enough, He's clearly a good study. He's clearly very coachable. We'll get him there. He's just, maybe you hyped him up too much.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just kind of a smart but regular guy.
Maybe. But again, in the NFC where the quarterbacks aren't as good, I think he's fine. I think.
No, that's sure.
I think if the Niners fail,
but you're asking him to be
forward,
elite.
I don't think it's going to be because of Brock. I think it's because you haven't drafted well the last 2 years, and Kyle continues to not be able to scheme up a passing game on its own.
But all
He can scheme up the run, and he can scheme up the pass off the run. But if you ask him, like, hey, it's not working, Brock's going to have to throw it 35 times today, like, Kyle doesn't have it schemed up that well.
And I really think, I don't know why they didn't dealt Christian McCaffrey. He's got a couple years left, assuming he can stay healthy in those years of good production. You know, he's not going to get the value that you paid for him. But, like, the most value you're really going to get out of him is probably a trade at this point. Like, what are you going to keep him for another year or two, and then he's going to be a shell of himself, and then you're like, well, that sucks.
Well, my guess is they're probably just hoping he can be productive this year, and then they would trade him.
Just do it now.
But he'd be a year older.
Yeah, just do it now. You have Garendo, you have Mason, who both looked fine, more than actually fine. They both looked hella productive in their moments. Why?
I know.
If it's supposed to be about Kyle and his scheme, who cares about CMC?
Well, I think this is a huge year for Kyle. And I have defended Kyle, and I will continue to defend Kyle because if you fire him, what are you going to go get? But you have now paid the quarterback, so you're saying Brock is good. You have tied your franchise to Brock Purdy. Kyle has got to be able to adapt, and Kyle has got to be able to do things outside of CMC and build a passing game outside of that because you told the league that this quarterback you have is good. He's good enough that we could pay him as the 7th highest quarterback in the league. So now, if you're not good next year, whose fault is it? It can't be Brock's. It can't be.
I mean, you could maybe blame the GM.
What?
You could maybe blame the GM.
You could, but I think part of their problem is I think Kyle has too much power. I think Kyle's running a lot of that draft.
Maybe. But, you don't need to scheme up. Like, you don't need to scheme up
and
both.
when if you go look at their schedule, like if they should be in the playoffs next year.
All right, we'll see. But
I know last year went bad, but they should be in the playoffs.
You don't need to scheme up an elite offense. Totally, we have this selection of passing plays. We have this selection. If you actually just have an elite run game, where the point where teams kind of have to focus on that, that simply opens up the passing games. It's not like you have to have an elite scheme, an elite play calling, and this stuff to have an effective passing game or running game. Opposite ends. And we know he can. It doesn't need to be CMC, and he can still scheme up the run game. A line helps, makes it a lot easier, but he doesn't think he needs it. And okay, maybe he doesn't. Maybe it is that elite in forms of blocking and picking up blitz packages and blah 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 blah. But then, if it's good enough, that should simply open up the passing game.
Well, I think they do need a line. I think they're going to have serious problems because their main competitor in the division has a young, explosive, and very violent defensive line. And it's going to be a problem when they go up against the Rams this year because their offensive line did not look that great at times last year, particularly in pass protection. Again, Kyle can scheme up the run game. He'll get around that. But if the run ain't working that day, then he's got to scheme up the passing game. It don't work that well. And his offensive line has not been able to hold up. So it's an interesting this is an interesting time for the Niners. And I think a pretty important season for Kyle Shanahan. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
But let's move on, Jesse. Talk about the NHL playoffs real quick.
Hey. How did I do so far? I did all right with my predictions. There was no. I put them on X, my mid-round predictions, and they were I mean, here's where I've missed entirely. And that's the Florida Panthers. It's not that I think any less of them. I still would build my franchise around Matthew Tkachuk first. I still think they are a very violent team that no other team is truly built to handle. But that was where my logic lied. 2 straight years of cup runs where you are the most physical force teams have seen since the game changed, really. At some point, you're going to break down. At some point, you're going to lose energy. At some point, like, this is going to just fall off the tracks. But no. You know, I'll really, like, apologize for the first round. I picked Tampa. That was silly of me. I then did pick Florida against Toronto in the second round because, like, duh. But I'm like, my God. I thought Carolina could do anything at all. But no. And again, the logic was the same. Florida, if I had to stack them up on paper, yes. If everyone was healthy, I'd probably pick Florida. But it's the conference finals again. Carolina looked very good against the Devils, who, again, they should have beat handily. And then the Capitals, I actually picked the Capitals. But Carolina then looked so good. I'm like, Florida's got to lose gas eventually. 15 straight conference final lost games for the Carolina Hurricanes. That is 4 straight sweeps, and then the 3 losses they have so far.
Oh, it's already 3-0?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I thought it was 2-0.
Yeah,
oh.
That's how fast this round is gone. And then the other side, which, like, you have the Edmonton Oilers, who have no business being here. I'm so mad at that one. So I did pretty good in the first round. You know, I nailed Carolina. I nailed Capitals. Those ones were easy. I should have got Florida correct, but that's on me. That's totally on my fault. I picked Toronto correctly. Again, very obvious. I was right about Vegas. I was so effing close to being correct about the Jets blowing it against the Blues, and they should have. You're up 2 goals, less than 2 minutes remaining, and the Blues lost. So I really am mad that I was technically wrong about that one. That one, I picked the Dallas Stars, probably the one I'm most proud about. Everyone picked the Avalanche. I picked the Stars, and I never wavered. Those Edmonton Oilers, though. Like, you're here because of the worst coaching challenge in the history of any sports coaching challenge. You had a review, and the LA Kings challenged it anyway, and then it was nothing but Edmonton Oilers since then. Edmonton couldn't do anything. 2 games of just getting absolutely... it was nothing. It was LA Kings from the puck drop for 2 games and like 50 minutes. And then you challenged a call that you had that was already reviewed. Yeah. And then it's been nothing but Edmonton ever since. They beat Vegas, riding that same high, and now I'm very scared that that's going to be Edmonton and Florida again. I say, like, how do you predict playoffs?
It's 2-0 Oilers right now.
It's 1-1. You literally bet the Stars game 1 and won the bet.
No, I'm talking about the score right now.
That was the other game. Wait, were they playing right? They can't be playing right now.
Yeah, they're playing right now, bro.
Why aren't they playing tonight?
I don't know. Edmonton's up 2-0 at the end of one period, though.
Oh, dude, NHL does not know how to market themselves one bit. It's the conference finals and you have a day game?
They don't want to compete with the NBA, you know?
Why?
That was a joke.
You
I don't know why.
You literally dragged your balls across their head the entire year.
Well, yeah, the NBA is also going to have a problem this year because I think it's going to be OKC versus Indiana.
I didn't even know.
The league is going to want to kill themselves.
I didn't even know they were playing today. Well, I knew they were going to play today. I just assumed it was tonight because, it'd be tonight, prime time. It's conference finals. Anyway, so I came into the finals. I say, how do you predict these things? You got to find the story. What's the narrative here? So I picked Vegas and the Capitals. Both got eliminated in the round 2. I'm wrong. I was wrong about that. So what's the narrative? Well, the narrative, I thought, would be Mikko Rantanen. And if you're an NHL fan, you know all about that story. He was a Colorado Avalanche, got traded to the Carolina Hurricanes for the deadline, and he looked them dead in the eye and said, listen, there's only 5 teams I'd ever sign a contract extension for, and you're not one of them. So they had to immediately then dealt him to the Dallas Stars. Would it not a Dallas Stars Carolina Hurricanes final have been the most dramatic of finals? Of course it would have been. It would have been a great narrative. But the other narrative is the repeat of last year, in which, let's get political for a second, Canada versus America, basically. Canada versus Florida, basically. And it's been 30 years. It's been 32 years since Canada. The odds of Canada winning this year that'd be a crazy narrative. And man, we don't want that. We don't want that narrative. No, we don't. I don't want that narrative one bit.
I mean, the way
Not this year, man.
The way this playoffs has gone, you really think the Panthers are going to lose to Edmonton? Because they look like an unstoppable
I think the Oilers look like an unstoppable force. The Oilers lost game 1 totally of their own accord.
Okay.
They don't lose games like that. In fact, the worst thing you can do, it seems, in this playoff is score first against them. Because then you're going to just blow the lead in the late games. Because I think they won 5 straight games, all of which were comeback wins.
Okay.
That's impossible. That's not a thing that happens. That doesn't happen.
That's pretty insane.
That's beyond insane, actually. 5 straight, because it was, I think 4 of the 5 were 2-goal at least comeback wins.
Yeah.
Most of which were in the final couple minutes. Like, that team doesn't lose.
Yeah.
I'm so scared of them. And they're doing it without Connor McDavid. He scored 3 goals.
That's impressive, then.
I'm very scared of them.
Okay.
I don't want them to win.
I know you don't want a Canadian team to.
Not this year, man.
You don't want one ever.
Well, ever, yes. But, like, this year would be very, like, ugh.
I get you.
There was so much drama between America and Canada, especially after the 4 nations face off. Like, that was very dramatic.
Yeah.
Amongst many other reasons. So, like,
we won't get into it.
It cannot be Canada this year. It cannot be Canada this year.
No, I get you. All right.
And I want some parity. I like other teams. You know, Florida.
Speaking
of
parity,
last year.
Speaking of parity, the NBA these days is nothing but parity. I don't know what.
I like that, though.
Because
no one's going to watch.
I don't know what changes they made. I don't know what Adam Silver did, but because I think a couple of years ago he said that he wanted more parity. You know, especially after the Celtics and Warriors played in that Cavs and Warriors played that final time and nobody watched. But since then, what have we had? Have we had 4 different champions the last 4 years?
I believe so. Yeah. Yeah. Celtics, Nuggets.
The year before that
was like the Warriors. Warriors versus Celtics.
And then was the year before that the one that Giannis won?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, it was actually 5 straight. So it was Lakers in 2020. 2021 was Bucks. 2020.
No one counts 2020.
But it's still.
I know it's
2022 was Warriors.
Yeah.
Blah 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 blah. Nuggets, Celtics.
Okay.
Whoever's going to win this year.
Yeah. So it's worked.
Nuggets, Celtics, Thunder.
I don't think it's the best league strategy that Adam Silver thinks it's going to be, because I actually think it's a problem for him.
Parity?
I think parity for the NBA is not good.
Parity is good as long as there is another regular. You know what I'm saying?
Well, sometimes
there needs to be
it's not. There needs to be a new regular sometimes, because the problem became when the Cavs and the Warriors faced off for like the 3rd time.
But that was the same.
And we all knew who was going to win. That was a problem.
You need one team of parity and one team that is kind of box.
That's what I just said. One team.
Yeah, box standard.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want 2. And it is funny to me that after he goes behind closed doors and engineers a Luka trade to the Lakers, you cannot tell me that didn't happen.
Yeah, and they
then
promised the first pick.
Guarantees that the Dallas Mavericks win the lottery.
Yeah.
Can't tell me that didn't happen either.
Yeah.
After all of that, the finals is probably still going to be Indiana Pacers versus the Oklahoma City Thunder, which I don't think is going to get much for ratings because it's Indiana and Oklahoma City.
No, I hope it doesn't.
I don't think it will.
I definitely.
At all.
I don't want the Knicks there at all.
No, I definitely don't want the Knicks there.
No.
But it's going to be funny to me when that's the final. But moving on, the Celtics, damn, it is unfortunate and crazy how fast things can change in the world of sports. One moment it looked like we were poised to maybe at least get a chance to repeat. And now Tatum's going to be gone for most of next year. This core is not going to play together again. Mm-hmm. Kristaps is going to be gone. Is Drew Holiday going to be gone? I think so. At least somebody else is going to be gone. Horford's probably gone.
He needs to be gone. They're old.
So
well, those 3 guys, they need to go.
It's almost like you're staring down the face of a rebuild.
No, you're not. This team is built through the Jays.
A soft rebuild.
The Jays and Derek White.
Okay.
It can't be Tingus Pingus. He's not on the court enough to.
No.
Horford is old.
Yes.
Drew Holiday is old at this point.
Mm-hmm.
He's clearly showed his age this year.
I thought Joe Mazzulla had a terrible playoffs, by the way, too.
I mean, I guess.
Like, call a timeout for once, bro.
Yeah. Well, he called a couple.
Yeah.
Well,
But
like,
listen, you can't tell me if Tatum doesn't get hurt in that game, I think we beat the Knicks and we win the series. Because that would have tied it up at 2-2, wouldn't it?
you're probably still going to lose that game.
What are you talking about? It was a close game.
It was kind of close. The play before really was the dagger, and that's why Tatum was diving for the ball. If it was a closer game, he wouldn't dive for that ball.
That's true.
I think it's like the play before made it a 6-point game, I think.
I still thought they were going to win, but
I assumed it. Here's the thing. I assumed they were going to lose that game because I saw it happen. But I still was like, okay.
we can win 3 straight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually was never, until Tatum was rolling around in the court, I was laughing going, okay, yeah, make it worse for yourselves, Knicks.
Yeah.
You're going to blow this. And then Tatum's rolling around the court. And I still was kind of like, especially after they absolutely trounced them in game 5. And I'm like, there's still a possibility the Knicks nick this.
I never thought for a moment after Tatum that they had a chance. After Tatum, even I'm not shocked that they won that game. I was like, they'll have one last burst of energy. Like, it was in Boston, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, they're not going to want to go out like that. New York probably thinks the series is over. Like, I knew they'd win that game. I never thought they were going to win the series. But now, I mean, for Boston, I don't know. The road ahead is murky.
Kind
You're
of.
going to lose some of these guys. You say they've got to run through Jaylen Brown and Derek White. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure you don't have to trade? Are you sure you're not going to have a big trade here at some point to shake things up?
Well, I'm sure because Drew, Crispy Porridge, and the other one, like they're all still under contract, I believe. Maybe Horford's not.
I don't think Horford is.
But like, yeah. And I like Porzingis will get something. Maybe you can package him for something more.
You probably have to package, but yeah.
Well, also you could like, let's not act like Peyton Pritchard is anything, and like I'm sure you could actually package him as well for something. Make it a little more spicy.
I did hear
Put it
someone
over the
and now
top.
this is not going to happen, but I did hear someone be like, "What if they just offered the world to the Mavs, so they could draft Cooper Flag, knowing that this next year is going to be a throwaway year anyway, because Tatum's gone for most of it."
Oh, I think you should rather call the Bucks and offer them the world for
Giannis.
Giannis.
I think that's totally a thing. Wouldn't they want Jaylen Brown though?
Probably.
Would you do it?
Probably.
I think I would.
Yeah. He's better than Brown.
I know. I actually also like him as a guy. I think he's a hard worker. I think he just cares about basketball.
He's got his quirks, but
Yeah.
he's for the most part, he's about the game. He's about. I mean, if you keep.
And listen, we know Tatum can do his disappearing act in big situations and playoffs. So a guy like Giannis to me would be awesome.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the move.
I don't know if it's gonna happen. 'Cause
think
I
it
don't know
will.
at this point you actually could give enough for Giannis, especially not anything that would be really worth it on your end, because you'd probably have to give up a J,
Yeah.
and it'd have to be Jaylen Brown right now. And I'd actually think the Celtics would rather keep Jaylen Brown than Jason Tatum.
I don't think so.
Jason Tatum has a higher ceiling, but Jaylen Brown is a gamer and doesn't disappear.
No.
Jaylen Brown at least has his fingerprints on every single game.
He can't handle the ball, though.
And when it matters,
He's a pretty flawed player.
and when it matters, Jason Tatum doesn't want to touch the ball.
That's true. They certainly have a lot of things to figure out. I don't think that I would pick Brown over Tatum. I just think that, any talk about legendary Jason Tatum and how he's one of the 3 best players in the league or can be the face of the league, I think that's all gone now. Not just because of the injury, but just like it's another playoff where it's like, Jason, the sum of your team is better than you, and you once again are kind of disappearing when they need you the most. So, like, you're not that guy. And that's fine. The Celtics are probably the smartest organization in the NBA. In some ways, I like that Tatum's like that because I'd rather that than beholden to some,
Some narcissistic
little man-child.
ball hog.
Yeah, but it is. There's always going to be that problem with this roster, and they're always going to have a pretty damn good number 2 who can play like a 1 for them to win. And the greats didn't really need that. Michael didn't need that. Kobe kind of did, because let's be honest, Shaq was kind of a 1. But I think Kobe won one without Shaq, didn't he?
I mean, there was the 2009 one.
So I think he won at least one without Shaq.
He went back-to-back 09 and 10. 10 was against the Celtics.
Yeah.
I mean, he had like Paul Gasol and like
Those are 2.
Meta World Peace, whatever his real name
Those are
is.
2s. That's not a 1. But yeah, I don't know what's next for the Celtics, but it's crazy how things can change so fast. But with that, let's finish this up with the Darwin Award. Are you going to film this or no?
I guess, because I failed on the first one.
Yeah,
I took a picture. Hold on. Hold up. Okay.
All right, you ready?
Just be careful.
So I'll let you announce it.
Just be careful with our drum roll here.
Yeah. All right.
All right. This week's Darwin Award winner is the Toronto Maple Leafs. They're back for their annual May Darwin. We'll give them a little credit this year.
They did make it to the second round.
They made it to the second round, but like you played the Senators in the first round, who are just not ready for this yet. They're not ready. They have a goalie and a man. That's it. That's about it. That's their entire team. So they had you. The fact that you didn't really sweep, the fact that you lost 2 games is actually kind of damning. But then you came in. You gave the Florida a little something. You came out. You won the first 2 games. Barely. You didn't deserve to win them, but you did. Mm-hmm. You're up 2-0 in game 3. You lost that game in overtime. Oh, so close to 3-0. You just embarrassed yourself the rest of the way. And you got it to game 7, which is kind of surprising because like game 6, Florida had the chance to really end this, and they didn't. They just weren't hitting the goal. They just weren't. It was Toronto's night, I guess. It wasn't even that Toronto played all that great. Just got the bounces. They did enough. And then we had one of the worst Game 7 performances I've ever seen just across the sports spectrum.
It's psychological at this point, isn't it?
From the drop, it was all Florida. Just the entire game was all Florida. It ended 6-2, 6-2, I believe it was. And that was just another Game 7 loss in the long line of Game 7 losses that they've had. It at least wasn't against the Bruins this time. It was at least in the second round this time. But if it's not the Bruins, it seems to be Florida in some form, Tampa or the Panthers. And again, they managed to get it to Game 7. They always put their own backs against the wall, shooting themselves in the foot, dumb plays, lazy plays to get them behind in the series. They storm back in some form, winning a game 2 sometimes, just forcing the Game 7, whatever it takes. And then they do something in the Game 7 to just embarrass themselves further. Whether it be blowing a lead, usually it's blowing a lead, or this time, which was just an absolute...
Just flat. Just bad
that's
from day one. That's the minute the game started.
That's offensive to flat surfaces. Like, that was just so terrible. That was, like, I could have done better. I can't even skate well. I could have done better than them. And it's the same narrative again. Like, well, we got to break it down now. We can't run it back. You know what? I fully expect you people to run it back. Because that's what it's been for like 4 years now. It's John Tavares, it's Mitch Marner, William Nylander, and then Austin Matthews. Oh, we have 4 guys that are worth more than some entire teams with their combined paychecks. And they can't do anything in the playoffs. Austin Matthews was a ghost. Mitch Marner was a ghost. John Tavares is worthless in the playoffs. William Nylander actually performs in the playoffs, but he's one guy. He can't do it himself. Again, every year, we can't do it with this core 4. We have to break it down. And they run it back with the core 4. Yeah, they kind of tried last year. They had some offers for Mitch Marner, but he's like, no. And he just said no to all of them. His no trade clause for all of them. So then, I guess we're just going to run it back with this core 4. No big changes. Oh, they won the division this year. It's different. What's different? We won the division this year. What else is different about the team, though? We won the division this year. Okay, because Florida doesn't care about the regular season, because Tampa doesn't care about the regular season, and because the Bruins sucked this year. That's why you won the division. What's that going to change? Well, you got to lose Game 7 at home this time. Congratulations. That was what changed. You lost.
It's psychological at this point. To be that bad from the drop, like, I don't know, man. I feel like it was psychological.
Well, I guess it's somewhat because Austin Matthews is a shell of himself in the playoffs. 60 goals in the regular season. That doesn't do anything in the playoffs because he doesn't do anything in the playoffs. John Tavares, one of the great centers of the NHL, two-way guy, really put up 100 points in the regular season.
I didn't hear his name as like a single time in this playoffs, other than intermission reports where they're like, "Where's John Tavares?" And William Nylander, he's great. He performs. Mitch Marner is the most cringe athlete in sports. I hate him. We often say like, "Oh, listen, we have our problems with athletes." I don't like Mitch Marner. He bitches, he whines at about everything, but then turns around and does nothing to help his team. Mitch Marner was screaming at the bench in Game 7 when they were down 3-0. Blah, blah, blah. Like, get your head in the games and all that stuff. Where were you, bro? You have no points either. You've been a ghost too. You've turned over the puck a whole hell of a bunch of times. But you're going to yell at them? Shut up. I hate them. They're losers. They are the epitome of losers. Except William Nylander. But again, I feel bad for him because he's the one guy, the one man who actually kind of put up points, gave them a shot to win in some games. And people that, like, when it started, like, they had their goalie. They lost the goalie in the series, Anthony Stolarz, who had a great year. He did have a great year. And at first, like, Florida wins the first game. Like, oh, if we had Stolarz, you don't win that game. That narrative totally disappeared. Why? Because they got just run out of town every game since. And there's nothing a goalie can do about that if there's no defense in front of him. Yeah. When you're losing Game 7s by 5 goals, 6-2. 4 goals, 5 goals, it's not about who's in net. It doesn't matter who's in net because clearly no one in front of him is doing anything.
I gotcha. So congratulations to the Maple Leafs for once again losing a Game 7, this time not in dramatic late fashion, not choking lead, just getting absolutely destroyed from the word go. So congrats again to the Maple Leafs, this week's Darwin Award winner.
We'll see you next year.
That has been it for Slow Your Roll. Have a great rest of your week, ladies and gentlemen.